Wahkahn. His name means sacred. I know. Growing Pains is the name of my talk. So he's perfect to actually start this with.
How old?
He was 12 weeks on Friday. So not even 3 months yet. Next Saturday, he's going to be 3 months old. I love this boy. What do you think? Good. Good. His nickname is now Chewbacca. I would lift my legs and show you why. But I'll lift my pant legs and show you why. But I'm not going to do that. He's just doing what comes naturally to him. And of course, living in captivity. Hi. What he needs to do and what he needs to learn. Good boy. Fix it. Good boy. Is to soften his jaws and soften his mouth so that he knows that we don't have hide. so we're not like the rest of his pack. Wow. Good boy. Nice job. Good boy. And of course, treats are really, really important for this process.
Oh,
Good. Yes. Yes. Good boy. Nice job. You're going to lay down. Oh. Good, relax. Good, relax. Nice job, little boy. You know, this is part of growing pains for parents, for us, for them. It's just, I know he's doing so great. I'm so shocked. I'm so pleasantly surprised.
How many pups were there?
He had, there's 6 altogether. So he had 5 siblings.
3 black, 3 gray.
Yeah, he had 5 siblings. You know, this is the time, you know, it's like, in that process of growing up where it's mostly stop it, quit, off. So you can reach now the stove. While I was away, of course, the wolves will play. And I usually set eggs out on the top of the stove and let them get room temperature so that they don't break when you boil them. And so Beta calls me, I'm on my way home. Wahkahn, he dropped the eggs on the floor. You're having a dozen egg fest on the carpet of the kitchen. And she goes, I tried to stop him and take him away from it. He just growled at me. And of course, she doesn't have training for this, you know. So I said, see if you can throw a towel on it and pick up some bowls. He's just hungry, and throw some carrots in it and see if it'll distract him. Yes.
They live in your house?
They live in the house. Yes, they do.
Oh,
Yes. They live outside and inside. Very good little boy. But now it's very, very, we have to be careful because now I'm cooking. He can reach the stove and he doesn't know that it's hot yet. You know? These are the things that we have to like, you know, I think I learned how not to touch the stove by getting burnt. But I don't want that for him. I don't want that to be the lesson. John Keats says, do you not see how necessary a world of pains and troubles is to school an intelligence and make it a soul? And when I say painful, I just mean that it's against our instincts, do you know what I mean? We get here ready to emulate our parents. They get here ready to emulate the adults. They start hunting immediately. And as soon as we can, we start emulating our parents. We want to play dress up and wear the high heels. We want to raid the closets. We want to raid the makeup way before it's too early. And the boys want to be firemen already. Just, they want to be firemen and policemen. And in my day, it was cowboys and Indians and, you know. They just want to play. This is what they want to do. And last week we talked about the brain, the left brain and the right brain, and what our brains are capable of handling at what age. And how to understand what's happening in our brains so we can understand each other and we can understand ourselves better. Oh.
Colette will explain how we work with those who don't know.
For those of you who want prayer feathers, for those of you who haven't been here before, the leather on the feather at the bottom grounds you here. And the feather, though, lets your prayers go and takes it in flight. So you can hold on to them during the service. If you feel comfortable, take them home with you. If not, you can just set them back and for someone else later. So good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk about growing pains. But I want to be clear about that word, that it's, life sometimes is a painful process. Those of you who know Dan Running Bear, in almost every ceremony, he did this ceremony for us this week, and in every ceremony he says that, to be human is to suffer. And every time I've heard him say that, I get this twinge up my spine, And I think, and for the first time, I've known him 4 years now, it's like for the first time I heard it in a different way. And I thought that came and it was sourced from that old Puritan, thing that we're here to suffer and then enjoy life in an afterlife or an afterworld somewhere, And I was like, we're not meant to suffer, we're meant to be happy and be loving and joyful and in harmony. But I heard what he said and I just took suffering the wrong way. That to be human and compassionate and to love means that we share our heart, and sometimes our heart gets sad and in pain, especially over loss. And that's the suffering. You suffer because we're human, because we have the capacity to love, rather than we're supposed to suffer. And so I heard it for the first time. And I'm embarrassed to tell you that. I just should know better. And yet, I heard it from a past experience, from a past bad experience. Every time he said it, and just let it go and go, I know what he means, but I just, hate that word. I know. So I'm going to start our opening meditative prayer song called Hands of Grace. And so before we go any further, oh boy, Wahkahn. I'm so proud of him right now. So right where you are, wherever you're sitting, just exhale and let the chair have you. And know that that chair is holding you so you don't have to hold on to yourself. She's got pretty little attractive fringes on her. You are held in the hands of grace, forever safe in the arms of love, like a child receives protection from a mother's warm embrace. vision of this puppy is evidence that there is a creative force and intelligence. The creator of all things, seen and unseen. I know this down to the marrow of my bones, and I know that inside of us, this energy, this creative energy is part of us. It's who we are. It flows in, around, and through us, connects us to all living things and to each other. And I know that it is perfect, it is whole, it is complete in every single way. And that there is nothing else that you could possibly be except part of this creative energy and this life force and this intelligence. And within us is where it lives and breathes. And so I claim for each one of you, no matter what your circumstance right now, no matter what growing pains you were going through in life, no matter what you've been through and what you are going to go to, that you are holy. That this is a holy venture and a holy road. And that you have a divine purpose and it's your heart's desire that leads you in the direction that you need to go. And despite all appearances to the contrary, I know that this is a universal truth. And so I say thank you for your presence here, for the privilege of your time. I thank my husband for allowing and creating this place and this venue for me to do this. I bless this land and all of nature and these wolves that teach me every moment how precious life is. I release it knowing that it is done, that it is so, that my words are being held in the hands of grace and the universal laws of love and attraction and prosperity and abundance. And we can all say it, so it is.
So it is.
Aho, amen, namaste, whatever word, whatever philosophy that embodies this teaching for you. Thank you, Wahkahn. Thank you, Wahkahn. A woman named Joy Bell, she says this: the only way that we can live is if we grow. The only way that we can grow is if we change. The only way that we can change is if we learn. The only way we can learn is if we are exposed. And the only way we can become exposed is if we throw ourselves out into the open. So do it. Throw yourself in. I'm going to invite Tommy. Tommy's going to come up and sing Cat Stevens' Father and Son for us.
It's not time, make a change, just relax, take it easy, you're still young, that's your fault, there's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down, if you want, you can marry, look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. Take your time, think a lot, think of everything you've got, for you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. How can I try to explain? When I do, it turns away again. It's always been the same old story. From the moment I could talk, I was ordered to listen. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go. It's not time, make a change, just relax, take it slowly, you're still young. That you fall, there's so much you have to go through. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me, I am old, but I'm happy. All the times that I cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it. If they were right, I'd agree, but it's them they know, not me. Now there's a way, and I know that I have to go away. I know I have to go.
Andy Rooney, everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. But you have to have some years under your belt to, I think, realize that, and to come to understand that wisdom. It's hard to explain to someone younger. Sometimes it's hard to explain to each other. Okay, so Charles Dickens says this: suffering has been stronger than all other teaching, and has taught me to understand what your heart used to be. I have been bent and broken, but I hope into a better shape. No? Wow. Paul, my husband, has been struggling with something for about 1.5 years with his company. And, you know, every Friday, I dread every Friday night. Sorry, Paul. So he gets home really late, and then he relives the day. And he just cannot let it go. And it's just churning in him, trying to find a solution, trying to find a solution, trying to find a solution. And the other night, it was before Friday, actually. I don't remember what night it was, but I'm just doing my daily chores and finishing up dinner and all that kind of stuff. And he says, this is what I came up with. And he's telling me, and he's telling me, and he's telling me, and I'm like, wow, this is really brilliant. That's really good. Wow. And after he told me the whole process and everything that he came up with and this protocol that he was putting into place, and he said, you know, I knew there was a solution. I just had to stop being angry. And it stopped me in my tracks. Because, wow. Wow. Ain't it the truth? Even Dakota agrees. You know, it's like this suffering that we do. It is very hard to, and he's very famous because I learned it from Einstein, that Einstein quote that you cannot solve a problem in the same energy it was created. Basically, I know it goes into much further depth, and then Paul shares that with people and shares that with people. You cannot solve a problem while you're in the middle of anger. And yet, what do you do with your anger? Because it's not like it's not there. Scientifically and psychologically, it is the first, after denial, it is the first stage of grief. So the only thing that I know that I can share with you is what we talked about last week, that anger can be released through, you know, take a right process to it, write it out, you know, box it out. Don't do any damage or don't do any harm. You draw it out, color it out, whatever you need to do before you make a decision based on it. Find out what is sourcing that level of grief, especially if you just think you're angry and you're justified to your anger. Yes, you are, but there's something sourcing it. There is some level of grief, some incident that's either triggering or that's coming up in you that is reminding you that there is no other way except to be angry and work from that place. We know someone here who has a friend whose wife cheated on him, and he went and got drunk, went home, beat up his wife and killed her. This just happened last week. Those are the possibilities. Do you know what I mean? When you don't know who you are, when you don't know that there is a spiritual solution to every circumstance in the universe, when you don't know that you are a spiritual being living in a spiritual universe, and that you have a right to your feelings, but they are being sourced from some place that made you feel like you were not who you are, and that your fellow man is not who they really are. And then we operate on this level of trying to operate and find solutions and find answers to all these questions, that it's in a level of hate and disappointment and rage. And the only answer I know that I can give you, that I have to try and live by myself, is that the only answer is love. That you choose love no matter what. The love for yourself, to have the patience to go through the actual grief that you're living in. And surround yourselves with people who understand this process, so they don't lose patience with your grief and your time of suffering and pain, to grow to the next step. Anger makes you smaller, while forgiveness forms you to grow beyond what you are. What you think you are is what I will add to that. That anger keeps us small, because behind the anger is sadness, and that's the one we don't want to feel. That's the one that scares us. That's the one we don't want to live through. That's the one that we don't want to have patience with ourselves. And that's the one that triggers the fear in everybody else that doesn't want to be near you while you're going through that process. And so the whole cycle stays up in here. Rather than getting to a level of loving yourself through the incidents of life. And when you get there, you find out exactly what Charles Dickens said, is that you are a wholer, more compassionate, more feeling, more alive human being as a result. Jill Bolt Taylor, who I talked about last week, she says, just like children, emotions heal when they are heard and validated. You know, Paul, it would do no good for this time where we're going through these times where how do we get this accomplished? How do we do this? We're all in there. It's like, I need more money. How are we going to pay for this? You know what I mean? How are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for this? It's always up. How are we going to pay for this? And it's scary. It's scary out there today. It's scary for a lot of people out there today. I'm not going to tell you it's not. And it's really weird when people, you know, there's a lot of people from my philosophy that say, you don't look at that. You know, don't look at that. You look at where you're going. Now, yes, you do that because that's what keeps hope alive. You look at where your heart's desire is taking you. And down that road is going to be, how am I going to pay for that? And so it does no good for me to tell him he shouldn't feel the way he's feeling, which is sometimes panic and anxiety because he doesn't have a job for the next week, which then feeds our family, feeds these wolves, keeps this pop rate going, keeps us moving in the direction we're supposed to go. And it's hard to trust that this is the process. And part of it is worrying about what do we do now? But you cannot not validate the feelings that somebody is going through the process of life without them having to pretend they're somebody they're not in order to be in your presence and then go home alone with no one, or feeling like there's no one that understands. And that perpetuates this too. I don't know where I came up with this. This is like way up here is this mess of mud, you know? Growing up Scott Fitzgerald says, growing up, that is a terribly hard thing to do. It is much easier to skip it and go from one childhood to another. Well, you know, there's a lot of people who do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, you know, Scarlett from Gone with the Wind. I'm not going to think about that today, I'll think about that tomorrow. And then that's her phrase for tomorrow, too. In the meantime, a civil war happens, and, you know, she loses everything. While she's not looking at it today, I'll think about that tomorrow. Paul asked me today, and a lot of people are telling Paul, this is the wisdom that has been coming his way. And it only makes him angrier. And when I tell you, it's like, it'll come when it's supposed to. He's like, what do I say to those people, Colette? It'll come when it's supposed to. That does me no good now. But I get it. You know what I mean? But there isn't much comfort in it. But here's what I have to say to that, because I thought about it a lot. You know, because my job is the mom here. You know, I hold down the fort. And he goes down the mountain and makes it all work. And he comes up the mountain and he makes it all work. So, you know, it'll happen when it's supposed to, when every single time we get an answer to our problems and how we're going to pay for it, and then it falls through. It's like, those are hard to, when it's going to happen when it's supposed to. Or I do love the one, you know, there's our time and God's time. Okay. Alrighty then. Okay, I guess I'll just finish today and, you know, wait for God. But I lived in New York in 9/11. And this is my answer to you. Because I don't have a why, but this is my answer, and it helps me through these times. I read an article weeks later about the employees in the businesses that got hit, and the employees that survived. And they were the employees who something happened that delayed them from getting to work on time. So it was the guy who forgot to put gas in his car and had to stop for gas, probably all the while beating himself up for not getting gas, and now I'm walking late, and you know how, you know, and everybody's in a cubicle, so everybody's gonna see, walk of shame when I come into the office. The guy, shoe shine, he was gonna go to an important meeting, and so he was willing to be late so he could get his shoes shined so he could have a nice sale. A woman whose baby pooped in the diaper just as she was leaving the house. Moms and babysitters, you know that one. And I was like, you know, these were the stories, and they just went on and on and on. The stuff that makes us anxious, we're going to be late, we're going to get in trouble. Those were the people who got to go home to their families that night. The people who were beating themselves up that morning. Not being good enough, not being prepared enough, not being whatever enough to get to work on time. The first plane hit at a building and on a floor of this one company, I don't remember the name of it, but I worked for a corporate entertainment company at the time, doing their corporate entertainment events. And that was the first floor hit. And my boss had a 9:15 a.m. appointment on Monday with them. Met all of them and sold them this big party. And on Tuesday at 9:15 a.m., the plane flew right into their floor and killed them. So a day before, I could have been at that meeting. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't know. And so my answer to you, my husband, and everybody else who doesn't know the whys and can't figure it out in God's time or whoever's time. I'm not going to say that there's a reason for everything. to explain that away, but I do know that. And when I read that article of who survived that day, and I wonder if they have survival guilt on top of putting on top of them, the personal shame that they had for why they were late for work, which saved their lives. So I don't know when it's supposed to happen, that the windfalls come and just comes and comes. But I do know in the midst of that, we have each other and we have joy in our lives and we have love in our lives. And that is what we need to know and where we need to go when we're hurting. I know that's the answer. The bigger question as to who lived that day and who did not live that day. And I don't have the answers to that. I don't even try to have the answers to that. But as a survivor, you want to believe that you're here for a purpose. That not getting gas in time to get work on time was part of the heart's desire that is moving you where you're supposed to go. Otherwise, we're just, waiting to get, touched. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, we're just waiting for whatever. I mean, there's no reason to be here. Might as well sit back and wait for it to happen. There's a reason we're here, and it's a divine purpose. And I do believe that life is eternal, so that we are living in many multiple realms. Always. Over and over and over. New souls, old souls. I always say, take the first chance in case you never get a second one. But growing up takes even one step further. Growing up means that you have to cherish what you have when you have it. Because you have sorry. You have to cherish what you have when you have it, because what you have, that's yours. And all the ideas and criteria you were set in your head, all the black and white rules and everything that was laid upon you, those aren't yours because those haven't happened to you. You can't live in a criteria. You have to live your life. I beg you to have patience with everything unresolved in your heart and to try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers which could not be given to you now because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the question now. Perhaps then someday, far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way to the answer. I was having a hard time. Now, I've had many hard times, but I was having a hard time once. And I was working at the Velvet Turtle in Chinatown. And this very, very wise bartender who was Chinese, his name was Fred. He was one of those bartenders, the scary bartenders. If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you don't want to go to his, because if you don't order it right, and this is when you called out the orders before you had the computer and then could just make the drink for you. You had to call it out in the way that it's supposed to be made, and it was just one of those scary times going to see Fred on a busy night with a big party. But I was holding back tears the whole night. And afterwards he goes, Colette, what's the matter with you? Very curt guy. And I had a friend who was treating me bad, I had a bad time. And he goes, Colette, you know what a lotus flower is? And I said, no. And he goes, it's a flower. It's a white flower. It grows in the mud. And things happen and mud splashes on it. And the petals just fall open and the mud slides right off of it. And he goes, that's you. Wow. Wow. scary angel from then on. I'm still scared to go order from him. But he got me. Do you know what I mean? This scary guy who speaks broken English taught me a lesson about myself that day and got me through a very hard time. And I still remember 30 years later, what a gift. What a gift. To him it was just matter of fact, you know? Goldie Hawn says this, whether we have it all or we have nothing, we are all faced with the same obstacles: sadness, loss, illness, dying, and death. If we are to strive as human beings to gain more wisdom, more kindness, and more compassion, we must have the intention to grow as a lotus and open each petal one by one. And she was talking about growing in mud. She's talking about living in the mud. Pain feels like a fast stab wound to the heart, but then healing feels like a wind against your face when you are spreading your wings and flying through the air. We may not have wings growing out of our backs, but healing is the closest thing that we will get, that will give us that wind against our face. This is what I know here. This is what I want you to know that's here. This is what gravitated me. My heart's desire brought me to here from the 9th floor of a Chelsea building in New York City. And that lifestyle. It brought me here living with wolves with the wind on my face. This life, therefore, is not righteousness, but growth in righteousness. Not health, but healing. Not being, but becoming. Not rest, but exercise. We are not yet what we shall be, but we are growing toward it. The process is not yet finished, but it is ongoing. This is not the end, but is the road. All does not yet gleam in glory, but all is being purified. That is Martin Luther. I have no right to call myself one who knows. I will agree with that. I was one who seeks, and I still am, but I no longer seek in the stars or in books. I'm beginning to hear the teachings of my blood pulsing within me. My story isn't pleasant. It's not sweet and harmonious like the invented stories. It tastes of folly and bewilderment, of madness and of dream, and madness and dream, like the life of all people who no longer want to lie to themselves. Chris Jamie says, as long as I am breathing, in my eyes, I am just beginning. I think it's wonderful. You know what I mean? I have this expectation of all the animals, you know, that I was worried about when we were going to bring the new puppy in. I was worried that Freedom would be too jealous and hurt him. He and Freedom are the fastest friends. He took such care when he was so little and he was crawling around the living room. He would jump around him. He would do everything he could not to step on him or to hurt him. And this was, you know, in my eyes, I was afraid that he would not step up to the plate, that he didn't have the maturity to raise this puppy. And I saw them yesterday playing, and it was just like watching Shadow take care of Dakota and raise him. And so as much as you think you know, sometimes you just don't know. Just don't know. And we have another growing pain to go through, because now if the others are like punishing him because he's really got those sharp, He has sharp teeth, and he like jumps at their ears. And they growl and get mad at him, and Freedom steps in. Why don't you hurt my puppy? Don't you hurt my puppy? So my Freedom, my little baby boy, my other baby boy, stepped up in a way that I could not have ever imagined, because I didn't imagine. But I'm proud of him. And we have to work him through not hurting the others for disciplining the puppy. So there's a whole nother growing pains that we have to go through to socialize them and do what we need to do with them. But I'm proud of my boy. Rumi says this: your hand opens and it closes, opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding, the two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as birds. I noticed today that I've been very kind of off-center. It was a scary talk for me to do. That exposing thing, do you know what I mean? Even just subconsciously talking about being exposed, talking about this part of life, that is the part where we don't want to talk about it. Bringing up painful memories to find the source of the grief today. You know? But it's very, very important. So I'm going to finish, and I'm going to sing today The Rose by Amanda McBroom, who I knew, by the way, before this song came out. We were doing Little Mary Sunshine together in West, just in Santa Monica, actually. And she said that she sat down to write a rock and roll song, and this is what came out of her.
It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the stream afraid of waking that never takes a chance. It's the ones who won't be taken that never seem to give. It's the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night, it gets too lonely and the road, it gets too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky
very emotional subject. Anna Eastman says, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Let the sun shine. So for those of you who have been here before, you know, we don't pass a basket or anything. I do this solely and purposefully to bring awareness to the wolves and who they are and what they are. So if you have a monetary gift that you would like to give us and that you can afford, we really appreciate it. There's bowls, little glass bowls that says for the wolves, so I would appreciate it, and my heart is open. I'm so grateful for any monetary gift you can help to keep us going here. We also have some great stuff that was handmade and given to us to purchase so that we can raise money for the wolves as well. We have a burden basket, which is over here. You can read about it. Basically, the Native Americans believe that our, hi, beautiful boy. Hi.
He's ready to come in.
You gonna say goodbye? Good. Anyway, the Native Americans believe that we are not meant to carry our burdens, that we're to let them go. And so we've got some paper over there, and what you can do is write out your burden, put it in the basket, and I will say a prayer and release them for you at another time. And then we also have, if there's something you're grateful for, there's a joy jar on the other end, underneath a photo of what we call Black Wolf, the native guy. And yes, I know. She's got the treats, boy. Good. I know. I mentioned for a long time, but there's more things that have been added to our potlatch corner, which is over here. Basically, the Native Americans also, they came together and they brought things that either they needed to let go of so more abundance could come in, or that they no longer had use for to give to someone else. So if you see something over there that speaks to you, just take it. It's meant to be yours. All righty then. So we're going to end with our song, Face of God, which I always sing. I have no kids today. Anyway, it has sign language to it. Is you are the face of God. I hold you in my heart, tuck it in. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Okay. Refreshments, and then we'll go see the wolves. Thanks for coming in.